Hi everyone, welcome to Parashah Pantry, our new edition of Sweet Tastes of Torah. I'm hoping you will join us each week as we learn and study together and cook and create and enjoy some great wisdom and some good tastes. So I thought we would continue the tradition from this summer of joining together each week under a new name. And I picked the word Parashah Pantry, of course, because pantry begins with a P. It sounds nice with parashah, which means portion, but because pantry is a closet or a cupboard that keeps important things safe that belong in the kitchen. And I thought, when I thought of the pantry, I thought of the ark that keeps the Torah. And when you open it up, you find such great treasures. So I hope we will be doing that together as we join together each week this year. So what a special week it has been. We just celebrated Simchat Torah last weekend, last Shabbat, which means that this week we begin reading from the very beginning of the book of Torah, from the first book of 5, from the book of Genesis. And the portion is called Bereishit, which means in the beginning. The first chapters of the Torah, as you probably know, give us a picture of the world that God creates. It is new, it is perfect, it is full of promise, this world that is, until we humans are created, a few problems start to occur because we are only human and God did not create us to be perfect. So we zoom in this week to Genesis chapter 3, when God instructs the newly created Adam and Eve that they can eat of any tree in the Garden of Eden, but not mipri ha'etz betoch hagan, not from the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden. As we know, the story goes, Eve was tempted and she took this fruit and ate it, probably enjoyed it. And she was transformed as she began to have knowledge. She gave this fruit to Adam to eat as well. So both of their eyes were opened. They had new understanding. But of course they did something that they were instructed not to do. So what did they do with this new understanding? Knowing that they had done something wrong, they actually hid in the garden because they were ashamed. So I know that we are human just like Adam and Eve, and we make mistakes too. Sometimes we may not realize that we have made this mistake, but most of the time I believe that we have the wisdom to know what we have done. God has given us this wisdom, and what are we supposed to do with it? We are supposed to do the right thing, for we can see what is right and righteous, and we can also see what is wrong and unjust. So I think the first step when we hold this important responsibility of understanding is to do good with that understanding, not to run from it, but rather to take responsibility. So that is one thing that we learned this week. So what of this fruit? It is in the Torah just called pri ha'etz, which means very simply the fruit of the tree, but commonly it is thought that this fruit is our beloved apple. So I thought maybe it would be a wonderful thing to make something with apples from the pantry. This week, perhaps you have gone apple picking and you have gathered more apples than you know what to do with. So what a perfect week to make applesauce. Now this is a really simple recipe, which always makes it wonderful. It's delicious. My family actually has a tradition of making applesauce during the holidays and freezing it until Chanukah. Because after Simchat Torah, we don't have any holidays. We save a little bit of that fall holiday sweetness, and we freeze it and enjoy the applesauce with our latkes on Chanukah. So maybe you'll join us in that. So all we need for this recipe are just 4 medium apples. Together they might be 3 pounds. You need to peel them, and core them and roughly chop them. We also need 3/4 of a cup of water, 1/4 cup of sugar, and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground sugar. So this recipe is so easy because after you prepare the apples, all you need to do is throw everything into a pan, put a lid on it, and put it on the stove under medium heat for about 15 to 20 minutes. And once you do so, first of all, your house will smell amazing, but then you come up with this concoction here. And the only thing we need to do with this is to blend it, or you can actually hand smash it if you want, depending on the consistency of what you want your applesauce to be. Now this is a single serving of this recipe. You could double it, you can triple it, no matter how many apples you have. It is a wonderful recipe. You can never have too much applesauce. So I am going to go ahead and blend these apples, and we will taste the applesauce and see what it's like. I have a hand blender here, one of my favorite kitchen appliances. So easy. Make soups. Let's see what happens. There we have it. Beautiful cinnamon applesauce. I'm just going to taste it a little bit. Sweet and perfect. I can just imagine scooping it on top of a latke. Well, that is, if we have any left. So we will see you next week for our next edition of Parashah Pantry. Until then, hopefully you can see clearly with your eyes that God-given wisdom that God has given you, and have a great week. Shabbat Shalom.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey.